Following Bernie Sanders' record-breaking rally on March 22nd, Sanders did a pre-taped ABC interview that aired on Sunday that was supposed to be a recap of his rally. During the interview, Bernie accused ABC's Jonathan Karl of asking a nonsense question. And that question was whether Representative AOC should run for Senate replacing Chuck Schumer. In today's video, we are going to go over the interview and make sure we hit all of the key points, so continue watching to the end so that you don't miss anything. I want to begin with this first viral clip of Bernie Sanders getting irritated mid-interview. Look at this.
When I first came to the Congress and the House, I helped form the Progressive Caucus. We had 5 people in it at that time. Now they got close to 100. So you got a whole lot of good people. Alexandria is extraordinary. I am so impressed by her work in Congress and she inspires young people all over the country.
Would you like to see her join in the Senate?
Right now we have, as I said, just a whole lot of people in the Congress. Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
No, I asked you.
Okay.
You want to do nonsense? Do nonsense.
No.
I don't want to talk about inside the Beltway stuff. I got 32,000 people.
I was just asking you about AOC because she was out there with you.
No, fine, but I don't want to talk about this. What was the last question?
I was just going to ask you one more question about you. I mean, that's all. I was literally your last.
What is your question?
Well, I mean, it's easier to. I mean, I want to ask you about your future. This is the biggest crowd. You said you ran for president twice. This is the biggest crowd you've ever seen. Are we going to see you run again, or what's your future?
No, right now, I am very proud that the people of the state of Vermont sent me back to the Senate with 63% of the vote. Right now, I'm Vermont senator. That's what I do, and I'm very happy to do it. I am 83 years of age, so.
In the clip, Bernie is speaking about AOC and telling Karl how much he likes what she's doing. And Karl interjects and says, would you like to see her join the Senate? And from that, Bernie is kind of dismissive of it, and he proceeds to get up and try to walk out. Bernie eventually sat down, but he said if you're going to do all of this nonsense, he's really not going to participate and he'll just leave. There's been a lot of talk of having AOC come and join the Senate. I understand that Bernie Sanders probably can't speak on what is happening, but we all know that AOC is a real option to go a part of the Senate. She has been speaking out at a bunch of interviews, rallies, everything you can imagine. She's spoken on it in person and on social media. So for Bernie Sanders to call that question nonsense, it isn't fair because it is a question that the people and everyone else truly want to know. From that, let's move into the next clip, where in that same video, Bernie Sanders practically praises Trump on his deportation laws. Let's watch this.
Anything that you think Trump has done right?
Yeah, I mean, I think cracking down on fentanyl, making sure our borders are stronger. Look, nobody thinks that illegal immigration is appropriate. And I happen to think we need comprehensive immigration reform. But I don't think that it's appropriate for people to be coming across the border illegally. So we've got to work now on comprehensive immigration reform. The idea that Trump has, I don't know what his latest numbers are, he wants to deport 20 million people who are in this country who are undocumented. Well, you do that, you destroy the entire country. Because I got news for you, Trump's billionaire friends are not going to pick the crops in California that feed us. They're not going to work in meat packing houses. That's what undocumented people are doing. So we need a variety of programs, guest worker programs, but mostly comprehensive immigration reform.
But you know, illegal immigration, it exploded under Biden, and it had been high for times under Trump as well, but it exploded under Biden, and nothing was really done until his last year in office when he was...
Yep, should have done much better, no argument.
Now, in this clip with Bernie Sanders, I agree with it. Bernie Sanders gave a true, honest, and respectable statement on that question. Yes, he did praise Trump and basically give him his flowers for everything that he has done in regards to cracking down on fentanyl and making sure the American borders are stronger. Bernie himself admitted that yes, illegal immigration is wrong. He said we need to have comprehensive reform with deportations. Karl even then asks, yes, there were high numbers of immigration with Trump, but it exploded with Biden. And he said, yes, no doubt I can agree with you. That is true. We could have done better. So all in all, it was very honest. And I would guess that answers like these are why a lot of Republicans do respect Bernie Sanders. With that being said, I do want to turn over and look at this clip that proved to be a little shocking when Bernie Sanders basically said that Democrats weren't doing enough to help the working class Americans. Look at this.
60 days into the Trump era, the second Trump era, How would you grade the Democratic Party's response?
Well, I would take us back even 2 years before that, before Trump was elected, and saying that it saddens me that when the Democrats had control of the Senate, they did virtually nothing for working people. And I have to say that I'm a member of the Democratic caucus as an independent, so I'm not going to lie to you and tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
And since then, do I think the Democrats have been effective in rallying the American people in stopping Trump's movement toward oligarchy and authoritarianism? No, I don't.
He said straight up that the Democrats did virtually nothing when they had control of the Senate. They did nothing for working class Americans. He also said that from him being an independent in the Democratic caucus, he's not going to lie. And it saddens him, but he has to say it. They didn't do enough. For me, that's another reason to respect him and what he says, because he's being honest. They didn't, and they have no proof to say that they actually did. And he also mentioned how for him to be a part of the Democratic caucus, it still was very wild to hear that statement come from him, considering that this is what the Democratic Party was rallying off of, what they were trying to protest and campaign for, that they were going to help the working people. And to hear that they weren't really doing it at all, that's basically a slap in the face to hardworking Americans. It's basically a slap in the face to people who support the Democratic Party. And before I close out, I want to take a look at this tweet about Bernie Sanders and the possibility that he was exposed for the data of his rally numbers. GPS data exposes astroturfing at Denver Bernie AOC rally. The massive Bernie Sanders and AOC rally in Denver. Turns out it wasn't as grassroots as advertised. Despite claims of 34,000 attendees, GPS data analysis reveals the real number was close to 20,000. Still big, but not record-breaking. More revealing, a whooping 84% of those devices have shown up at 9 or other more protests, including Antif and BLM events, pro-Hamas and pro-Palestinian demonstrations, and Kamala Harris campaign stops. Over 30% had attended 20 or more. Data analysis says the crowd was anything but organic. Majority were tied to activist networks like Disruption Project, Indivisible, Democratic Socialists of America, Rise and Resist, and Troublemakers. All reportedly funded by Act Blue and some receiving backing via USAID. Optics over authenticity. The playbook hasn't changed, just the targets. So in that tweet, it's based off of GPS data that actually show that the numbers of the rallies weren't truthful. They were exaggerated for thousands of people. It also included information about devices that were there that have been at a lot of other protests and rallies and campaigns to help push them forward a little bit more. Another thing showed that a lot of the people who were present were actually a lot of activist groups that are known to be at a bunch of other events, and it doesn't look good for the Democratic Party. If these are not just regular Americans there in the name of support, but actually groups trying to make everything look bigger than it is, it's not organic. It's not the true rally of what's happening. And that is terrible for them to actually do. Another big reason why this is a problem is because all of these numbers and data will not show up in the polls, and it's just swept under the rug. One other part to say is that it's being funded. And if it truly is being funded by Act Blue and USAID, that just gives more fuel to fire of what Trump and Elon Musk have been doing. More and more information that comes out is literally proving them wrong. The Democratic Party is getting proved wrong, and that must really suck for them. So what do you think about all of the questions that were asked to Bernie Sanders and his answers? Do you agree? Do you feel like he could have said more or said less? Please let me know down below in the comments. I love to read them, and I'll see you next time on KW Lawaholic.